Hi, my name is Tyrell Taylor, and today I will be discussing the performance measurement and budgetary control research project on my company. So the company that I'm using is MBR Cycling. It's a self-made group with around 2 to 3 others, and they've made me in charge of the financial department and made me head treasurer, since I do have that background with an undergrad degree in finance and currently getting my MBA. Like I said, it's a self-made group. We started off in early March, and we're currently pursuing um, turning the organization into an actual nonprofit organization. Some of the context on MBR Cycling, like I said, it's still fresh. Uh, this is my first serious business. I basically started off as something just for fun, and then when we realized that a lot of people are actually interested in it and was interested in investing in us, we realized, okay, this is something we can actually take serious. So that's what we're currently doing right now. Like I said, I was appointed treasurer, and we started off for fun, turned into something serious. Problem analysis. Some of the major managerial accounting problems that we have is that there's a decrease in income and donations. When we first started, we were going out strong. We had a lot of momentum on our side. We were getting about $1,000 every week in terms of donations in general. But now that has slowed down to about $100 a week, and we noticed that the reason that those funds are decreasing is because there's less customer engagement. Yes, I just skipped to the third point. We realized that we have to increase customer engagement in order to build the funds and build the donations, because that's what's going to keep us going, seeing that we're trying to be a non-profit and trying to get into the practices of not monetizing everything so that we don't look like we're a for-profit based company, because one of our main values is looking out for the community first. The last managerial accounting problem that we have is budgeting for future events. We need to work on budgeting. Like I said, we're still fresh, so we don't have as much past files and accounting records to know how to plan for the future. So as we go on and as we continue to throw more events, we'll then be able to know how to budget better for these certain events. The cause of these problems is poor execution. Like I said, the engagement with our customers have gone down, and that's because we poorly executed engagement with customers. That definitely needs to increase in order to get more income and get more donations and get more funding to keep these events going on and keep MBR cycling at foot. Poor layout is a different type of execution, just like in the operational standpoint. We just need to make sure that we're taking the right steps, that we need to make sure everything goes smoothly so that people can feel comfortable with putting money into MBR. We need to just make sure that we're telling them, hey, we're going to be using this for this, that, and the third, and make sure they have a clear understanding of why or what the money that they'll be giving to us will be used for. Not capitalizing on the right partnership opportunities. Like I said, we're fresh, we're new, we have a lot of momentum on our side. We necessarily don't want to jump into every partnership because some partnerships may not benefit us in the long run. But then again, we don't also want to say no to every partnership, seeing that some partnerships, yes, they may have the better end of the stick out of the two-way deal, but it could eventually lead to partnering with other partners because of the fact that they see that we can maintain a partnership with other companies as well. Focus too much on companies instead of individuals. We don't want to focus on getting too much money. Well, we want to focus on getting money from big companies, but let's not forget about the individuals who are willing to donate money. We don't want to lose out on money opportunities with individuals trying to get money out of companies and organizations. And inefficient budgeting, like I said, we don't have much previous files or records to go from. So it's important that we build that up over time so that we can make our budgeting for future events more effective. Performance measurement. The measurement of our performance is basically, well, first, how much donation and funding we could get. If we could get a lot of funding or donations or income throughout the week, that will be our first measurement of performance, because then that means we're doing something right. If people are willing to give their own money to invest in what we're trying to develop. Second performance measurement is monetizing the events that we're doing. Bike riding is free, just on all levels. So how can we get money from actually bike riding? So that would include like memberships and selling gear and water and foods and snacks. Which leads me to my third point: selling merchandise, and also making sure that we have an order to pay system, so that we're not stuffed with thousands of shirts in inventory, and decreasing our turnover ratio. If we can begin paying our employees to the point that we want to pay our employees, that's another measurement of performance. That basically means that yes, we have enough money where we could pay our employees and give back to the community in the way that we want to give it back to them. Increasing our public awareness and engagement, that's the last performance measurement. If we can increase the engagement and awareness in our communities, then that will lead to people wanting to donate to us more, which will then fall in line with then eventually putting on better events because we have more money to spend, etc., etc. Ethical issues. Being a non-profit, we just have to make sure that we make it clear that we're invested in the community. Yes, every business needs money, but we need to make our focus more so on showing the community that we're for them and not for ourselves. Another ethical issue is that since we have been doing protests as well, it makes us liable to uphold our image. So we've been doing protests for Black Lives Matter, which we must uphold that image that we care for the black community, even if cycling really has nothing to do with the BML movement. We must state everything that we're using the money for, seeing that we're a nonprofit organization. That is important because everyone who is donating money must know what we're spending their money on. And finding fair reasons to charge people. Like I said, we're a nonprofit. We don't want to seem like we're for profit based. So we need to find a fair way to charge people without basically looking like we're a for-profit company. Preventing business from improving. A couple things that are preventing us from improving is finding new ways to get more incentive to donate money to us. There's a simple way of asking for donations, but many people may not want to just give a donation like that. So we have to find new incentive ways to make people feel like they're getting something out of giving a donation that cost us little to none money. Organizing the budget. We need to make sure our budget is in tip-top shape, especially when we start dealing with the IRS or even other bigger organizations or companies. We need to prove that we're able to manage our money and plan for future events right. Accounting for every transaction being processed. That's another big thing that we need to focus on. Since it was an idea or just something for fun, we kind of lost track of some transactions, and we know that that can't happen in the future now that we're trying to be serious and we're trying to become a nonprofit, and we're currently in the process of doing that. Partnering with companies must be accounted for. We must let it be known that these aren't one-way relationships where one person is benefiting from it and not the other. All the partnerships need to be accounted for, and we must learn from each partnership so that we know how to handle partnerships with bigger organizations. And repetition, we just don't want it. We want to find new ways to incorporate more fun things so people don't feel like they're just doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. Recommendations for solutions. Being more organized with all transactions, that's the first step. Once we receive more money, we just need to know where everything is, what it's being spent on, and we need to know all our balance sheets at that point in time. Proper cost analyzation. This goes back to budgeting. We need to make sure that we're budgeting in the most efficient way so that we can get the most with the best price and the best quality, honestly. And then last is increasing incentives for any financial decision related to the customer. So basically with this point, we'd have to increase the performance with budgeting because we'll have more income to work with, which means more donations, and we need to prove that we can handle those donations on a smaller level so that when it's time to work on it on a bigger level, we would have the knowledge, we would have the experience to the point where working with $1 million instead of $1,000 would be an easier transition because we've already handled it on a much smaller scale. We've learned the mistakes, and once we get those big amount of donations, then we could slowly work our way into getting even more bigger donations. Pitfalls: being laziness with getting customer feedback. Customer feedback is the most important thing, and that's why it's first, because we need to know what the customers like. Granted, we know we can't please every customer, but it's good to get a general sense of what the customers are liking and what we should continue and what should we work on, just so that customers feel like they're contributing to the company, whether if it's not in money, they're contributing to the way we do things. And as long as you make your customers feel like they're a part or contributing to the company, then you will have a loyal customer forever. Lacking financial pressure to donors. We must apply pressure to donors. If you don't ask, you don't receive. So we must continue to apply pressure, continue to ask, make sure that we could get these donations and get these things from people, whether it's money or supplies. Procrastination, we cannot procrastinate at all. That's how we'll fall behind and feel overwhelmed and begin to rush things and do things at a lesser quality. So it's important that we make sure that procrastination is not one of our weaknesses or a pitfall. And then poor quality check, that kind of goes back to procrastination. Things are rushed, the quality of it will be lower. But if we take our time and we do things and then we have the time for the quality check, that would increase customer engagement because they feel like they're getting the best out of, if they are spending money, their money's worth, or if they're just here for the experience, they're getting the best out of their experience worth. The next steps to be financially focused. Yes, it's important to be about community, but you don't want to be so focused on community that you forget the money opportunities that present itself. So we do need to increase our focus when it comes to finances, because once we are able to do that, then all of the money will be able to go back into the community investments that we plan on doing. Making the proper adjustments to clean up and processing our transactions, better layout, increasing our incentives, and making our budget more efficient, making our budgeting more efficient, um, are just the next couple steps that we need to take in order to um, take MBR cycling to a whole nother professional level. Um, Granted, like I said, momentum is one thing, but you need to be professional in the business world, and one way to be a professional in the business world is to just make sure your finances are straight. You need to keep your company clean from the inside and outside. So that's why it's important to make sure all financial records are um, are in the best shape that they could possibly be in. How will this benefit MBR cycling? Like I said, down the line when we need larger donations and ask for larger amounts of money, we would have already proven that we can handle our finances on a smaller scale. So when it comes time to making money on a larger scale, we'd have the knowledge, we'll have the experience of what it's like to monetize and manage money on a smaller scale. So when we present to bigger companies or present to government for funding, we would have proof that yes, we can take care of the money that you will give us, and it will go back into the community. So that's how everything will benefit MBR in the long run. Also, if we make money our point of focus, it'll be easier to just do what we want to do for the community. Everything requires money, no matter if you're a for-profit business or a non-profit business. So if we want to give back to the community, we're going to need certain funding to purchase things to give back to the community. So that's how MBR will benefit in the long run from, even though being a non-profit, just focusing on the finance sector of it and getting it clean, getting it organized so that we can make more money. This is just like the movie The Goal, because one lesson that we learned from the movie is that a group is as small as its weakest link. And as of right now, yes, we're doing everything for the community, but finance is our weakest link right now. And if we can get that to a strong point where it's one of our stronger sections in our company, then everything else will be affected by it. The event planning will be affected by it. Partnerships will be affected by it. Everything will be affected by it. Marketing will be affected by it because we'd have more freedom to do what we want to do. So if we make the weakest link, which is finance, one of our stronger links, then everything will fall back into place, and it'll be better for MBR cycling as a whole. All right. Thank you. That's the end of my project, and hope you enjoyed it.